did correctly. Turn this down, turn this up. Okay, so I think maybe just a tiny bit more. And let's let this go even more. Okay, wonderful. Hi, everyone. How are you today? Pretty nice, gently snowy day, not too horrific. So today I'm going to go through that sort of standard first day script that most people go through. I'll try not to make it too mind-numbing. But we'll just get an introduction to the course, what it's all about, what you can expect, how it works. Are any of my TAs here yet? The TAs will be here, though. I have received text messages. So I think at least one of them was running a little bit late. So in any case, let me just go ahead. Can everybody see the screen? Okay, good. I'm just going to jump into our Canvas site here. So pretty much like most classes nowadays, like everything kind of flows out of the Canvas site. So, I just thought I'd say that. I guess I'll go ahead and not start with the syllabus. I have a couple of slides that I prepared just to kind of like get you into the class. So if we come over here. You may have signed up for this class. It says something about digital media, digital art, digital forms. Maybe the advisor told you some specifics about what we do. I'm going to flesh that out a little bit and give you a much more clear kind of expectation of what we do in this class and what you can expect. So it is an art class, but it's also a class where we're going to learn a lot of technique and a lot of facts. So because it involves the use of so much technology, it's a little bit different from an art class where you would sit in front of a painting easel and be expected to work with that, right? Because nobody has to tell you the 50 ways that blue can be used in a painting. Maybe they do, but it's not that useful. But with digital technology, obviously there's a lot of documentation, a lot of manuals, a lot of tutorials, and I think that we try to provide you with as much information as possible. In fact, I would argue that we try to provide you with more information than is necessary, which I'll talk about in a second. As we're sort of navigating through this class, some days I'm going to be up here and I'm going to be literally showing you how to make art with various software tools. Other days we're going to be having sort of what I would call the context section of this class, which is what are artists doing in the world with digital technology? That's interesting. How can I kind of inspire myself? How can I also sort of have an appreciation for how we got here? So there's a teeny weeny bit of history. And mostly when we're talking about context or this sort of section, it's very much based on what are people doing now or in the very recent past. So we have 5 sections in this class. We have 5 kind of content sections. One section, the first section, is we'll start off with digital imaging in Photoshop. So maybe you're taking this class because you are an art major, and in that case, Photoshop is just an essential tool for so many wonderful things, and it's a place where a lot of people start. If you're not an art major, Photoshop will definitely help you make sick memes. So, there's multiple things that you can do with Photoshop. You can even forge documents with Photoshop, although I wouldn't recommend it. It can kind of get you on the wrong side of the law. So, when we sort of think about these techniques, it's definitely going to be through the lecture demos. And we're going to just go through basically what I would consider the basics of Photoshop. So we have technically 3 Photoshop assignments. And one is a kind of collage-oriented assignment where you work with a whole lot of source material and try to unify it into an image. The other assignment is one where you work with a historical image and actually try to kind of doctor it or alter it into something that is contemporary and meaningful. So talk more about all that as we kind of get to it. We also have a section on GIF animation, which is actually also done in Photoshop. The section on GIF animation is, again, a place where you could make sick memes, but you could also make like some really interesting and beautiful animation, you know. So we have this sort of the GIF animation portion is really a way for you to sort of get your brain used to thinking about time-based media. And then after this, we go into video, and we do a little bit of video editing. So, and we use, for software right now, we're using Adobe Premiere. Hi, have a seat. There's a chair there, chair there. Yeah, so that'll be fun. And then we do video editing. We also have a section on 3D modeling. So the 3D modeling section is definitely something that I feel like is pretty extensive, given that it's an introduction. So we actually will talk about making virtual models in a software program called Rhino. And then we sort of, that's in the first assignment. In the second assignment, we talk about how to add light, how to add texture, and how to create an image that, you know, might be potentially photorealistic if you want to go in that direction. So these are just a couple of examples of some renderings that students have produced. And then, hi. And then we'll also be using p5.js in the coding section to talk about you know, what happens when art is created directly with code. And the coding section is sort of like three weeks at the end of the class. It's kind of like a little bit of a coding boot camp. If you already know how to program, maybe you're a computer science major, congratulations. I'm going to be pushing you on your creativity and your visual appearance. And if you don't know how to code, if you're an art major, you know, then the challenge for you is to work with the technique. You probably already know how to make a compelling looking image or whatever. So when we do work with the code section, you'll see that I have advanced options for the code assignments. That's really just a tool to recognize the fact that I have multiple audiences in this course. And so if you're a CS major and you're super comfortable with coding, you can take the advanced options, and, you know, the grading scale doesn't change. It's just whatever you think is more challenging for you, or whatever, you know, makes you feel more engaged. Then we can go with that. So, so yeah, we have like a really great variety of work made with code, which is really exciting. And then, you know, thinking about that, we'll also be talking about how sort of code-based or web-based work is, you know, out there in the world, which obviously is a ton of it. So this is the part where I talk a tiny bit about myself. So I just want to give you some context about kind of like where I'm coming from, like why I'm here, yeah, that kind of stuff. So I am one of those people that grew up in the late 90s, or kind of came out of college in the late 90s. And that was a time where this new thing called the internet was like just coming out, and people were like people were just starting to freak out about it. So I actually didn't go to college. I got a job as a programmer designer, pretty much straight out, and I thought I was big stuff. I had a fancy car, and then this thing called the dot-com boom happened, and then the dot-com bust happened, and basically like lost everything and had to move back in with my parents. So that was pretty much like my kind of like formative experience of like career or, you know, the job market. So it wasn't 100% bad. Like obviously I was super lucky to be in that situation. But also, you know, having that experience of kind of like watching it all vanish, and maybe being sort of like starting over at square one. So when I was in that position, I really decided that I wanted to actually explore my own creativity and do what I love. Those, you know, sort of cliches, but, you know, at the time, I've definitely just seemed like what, the only thing that I actually wanted to do was to talk to people about creative stuff and being creative and making creative work. And definitely in the design world, Claire, one of our TAs, is a bona fide designer. The design world can be very creative, but it can also be very like, the customer is always right. And I can tell you, the customer is almost always wrong. So yeah, I just found myself being really frustrated with that. So I basically went back to college and became an artist. And that was sort of something that my parents were like, why? And now they pretty much don't say anything about it anymore. It's been 25 years, so they're over it. So in terms of art, like kind of some of the stuff that I try to really work on is I'm obviously super engaged with technology, so I work a lot with code in my own work. Up to maybe like right now, most of my work is what most people would describe as sculpture, but it uses video projection or other elements that are made on the computer, but I end up actually making physical objects out of them. So I do 3D printing or this kind of thing. I'm interested a lot in, a lot of my work deals with gender and power and non-human perspectives. Right now, at this moment, and I'll show you a very short video. Right now, I'm working on a game environment, and the game environment, I'm really hoping the game environment will be something that people can watch like in a physical environment, like with sculptures, and I think I'm gonna make a chair. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm working on. I'm also really interested in various geeky things. Pretty much, if anybody has like KCD or anything like that, like I'm definitely there with you. My sort of social claim to fame are that I have been playing a tabletop role-playing game for almost 22 years. Yeah, I know, that's like true confessions. And I'm a huge fan of cats, so you're definitely gonna see some cats in this class. And obviously, internet images, cats, how could we not? I feel like I would be doing you all an extreme disservice if I did not deliver the cats. So, yeah, so I'm excited for an awesome semester. I did want to actually show you like what I'm working on right at this moment. This is my Instagram page. It's pretty professional, like 95% professional. So feel free to follow me if you so desire. This is a project that I'm working on right now. It's totally not even close to done. But it's a game environment where I have these sort of lights that when you intersect with the lights, you get portaled out to these different environments. And I'm just kind of still working on the mechanics of these lights, but there's like about 20 of them as you sort of go through this flat landscape, and then you get hit by a light that portals you to another world. So this is just kind of a new direction. I probably will try to, I'm not gonna show you something like every single day, of course, because that just would take too much time, but if I make any like really serious progress, I'll show you a little 1 or 2 minute clip. I think one of the reasons that I do that is not just to be like, oh, look at my work, isn't it fun? It's also just to sort of like see how long some of this stuff takes, because if I show you a video like in a month from now, it'll be like slightly different. Like progress is extremely slow. So yeah, so I guess at this point it would maybe be a good time to introduce our TAs, our wonderful TAs. Come on up, it's your lucky day. Hi. So Claire and Tony. Holiday cards that I forgot. So yeah, who wants to start?
I can start.
All right, Tony.
Yeah, just because I met my discussion section yesterday, I see some of you in the audience. Hey, Daniel.
Cool.
So we had a great time. This is my second semester TAing this class with these guys, and I'm a third-year MFA. I'm a painter, and I will have my thesis show in April, so I'm gearing up for that. And yeah, it's been wonderful to combine the digital side of art along with my traditional, more analog side of art. And prior to becoming a painter, I was a photographer and a
bookmaking, all sorts of stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to sort of span the breadth of things you can do with digital art in my sections. And I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you tomorrow.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'll be your Friday section teacher. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Someone tried calling me. I already forgot what I was going to say. Hi, Natalie.
Friday?
Sorry, this is my 4th semester of teaching. It's also my last semester in grad school. I'll be having my thesis at the end of March, so I will be gearing up for that as well.
Exciting.
I say I'm like an interdisciplinary artist. I've done sculpture to digital to not painting. My background is usually video and glass making, and immersive spaces. My teaching style, I want you guys to have fun and relax, so we're going to have a great semester.
I heard you make some great meat vegan brownies.
I do. I bring brownies and coffee sometimes to my students. I'm so sorry that you're not my section, so you don't get this.
I don't like vegan stuff, and they were so delicious. They were amazing. Cool. Yeah, well, thank you so much. We'll, I'm sure, see you around soon. And I'm going to go ahead and sort of spend some time going through the syllabus. And by the way, this is not our class over here. That's my other class. Sorry about that, in case anyone was confused or horrified. Okay, yeah, I'll see you later. Okay, so the syllabus. So this, I think this is a pretty standard syllabus. Like, I work very hard to keep it on the university template. But there are definitely like several things that are really specific to this class that I feel like I kind of just have to tell you. So let's go ahead and do that. So we kind of already talked about this through the introduction. These are sort of the 5 things that we talk about. That's my website. Email. I might regret this later, but I think I'm a pretty good emailer. Usually what I try to do is just respond, as soon as possible. But if I'm not able to do that, like I might be at grocery shopping or something, I don't know, driving, then my sort of policy is that I will get back to you the next business day. That's basically what you can expect from me. And when I say that's what you can expect from me, you might expect it a little bit sooner, but that's like the most amount of time that I would take getting back to you is the next business day. Usually I get back to people a lot sooner. If you do email me, it's super helpful if you can just put 107 in the subject line, because that kind of flags me that you're not a spammer. And then also, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you send me an email and I don't respond within that 24 hours for some strange reason, please feel free to send me a not snarky reminder, like a friendly reminder. I will, if I get a reminder, I'll be like, oh my God, like I have to do it now. And you will get a response. So office hours, probably the best time to meet me would be either before or after class, if you want to actually meet with me in person. I basically will come here early, and I just sit in the hallway, and kind of do my stuff. And so if you do want to come find me, like I'll be literally like out in that hallway, and probably hour before, and then I can stay up to like a half hour after class. But you would probably, if it's after class, you'd want to come find me like before I leave, basically. So I have another class at 1:45, so I can stay for at least half an hour. So if you have a question that's like longer than an in-class question, or especially if it's a question where you want some privacy, like just tell me, and we can either go outside or find some quiet hallway or something. I don't know. if you want to have a, like, if you need to have a really serious private conversation with me, please email me and I can schedule you in-person hours in my office. So I just want to let everybody know that that is an option. And I'm here for, like, on campus 4 days a week. It just seems like after COVID, like, doing walk-in hours, like, doesn't really, I don't know. Do people still do that? Yeah. I mean, just let me know you're coming, and, you know. Pretty much like Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, I can be on campus. And then, of course, if it's convenient for you, I'm happy to do a Zoom meeting. And then, yeah, that's fine too. Just let me know what modality you prefer when you email me. So we have our TAs, and then those TAs are also here. You can find their email addresses and their sort of email policy. Very similar to mine, oddly enough. And then we also kind of already addressed the course learning outcomes. This is required by the university. This is also required by the university, but I kind of want to just say this because I feel so snarky saying it. They make us put this thing in the syllabus now about how we interact with you. So I'm just going to tell you, I interact with you by teaching class. Yeah, in person, right here. So now, that being said, additional interaction is available, as I previously stipulated. So yeah, and obviously I can be reached by email for appointments. So inspiration. Yeah, this is a good inspirational quote. So I always try to put an inspirational quote on my syllabi, and I've had this inspirational quote in here for a long time. It's basically like, with identical options to choose from, everyone's art begins to look and taste the same. What could that possibly mean? Well, it means that as artists, like, our job is to not use that Instagram filter that literally 5 million other people are maybe using, right? Or not use a sort of pre-made tool, right? There's a lot of pre-made digital tools that are out there, and they're super fun and they're wonderful, and I love them too, but that's not really, like, you know, when you're thinking about being a digital artist, your level of engagement is just a little bit deeper and a little more sort of like scratching at the surface of what some of those tools can do and kind of finding out, like, how you can really own them. So yeah, everything on this class is on Canvas. We do have, as you know, via the TAs, we have discussion sections, and those are held once per week in the art lofts. So in those discussion sessions, you're going to be able to do the following things. You can get help with the techniques that we covered in lecture. So I am going to just kind of maybe, like, not really a warning, it's more just like a statement of fact. I might go a little fast in lecture, and that's for two reasons. One, maybe this would be a good point to tell you that I record my lectures and make them available to you. So I feel like if I go through something and, you know, even maybe myself, if I were to watch it, I would be like, what was that again? It's on video, just, you know, you can watch it again. So you can watch it as many times as you need. Now that being said, I do try to obviously pace myself, but I'm sure that there are going to be things that I cover in lecture that you have questions about, or things that you don't immediately just, like, know how to run with. And that's really what the discussion sections are for. So we have 3 really excellent expert TAs who are going to be able to give you that kind of one-on-one help with your assignments. And also, if you're sort of new to creative work and you just want some, I mean, in the art world we call this critique, but, you know, probably in other fields they call it feedback. So if you want some feedback, you can get some feedback from the TAs and just kind of know, like, that's where I stand, or that's, you know, what I need to do to make this assignment better. So your best sort of tool for discussion is definitely the TAs. And yeah, okay. So we have a bunch of required software. I hope it will be later today. I haven't gotten the email from Do It yet, but we will. Let me see if I did get it. No, quite yet. I do have a subscription to the Adobe Creative Suite for you all, and I will be emailing you, the details on how to take advantage of your subscription. Unfortunately, all the subscription stuff is managed through Do It, or as I like to affectionately call them, Don't It. If you have any problems with your Adobe subscription, I can connect you with the subscription person at Do It that can help you. I don't have the ability to really help troubleshoot that particular issue. So just warning, if you have problems, email me, I'll email the person will email you. Okay. And then there are other tools that we're using, but those tools we're either using the free version in some cases or it's a free tool. So the only tool that we really have to worry about subscriptions for is the Adobe. With Rhino, we are using it towards the end of the semester, and I'm actually just advising you all to get the trial version. If you are interested in kind of working with Rhino more, they have a student subscription that's pretty affordable, but I'm not requiring people to purchase it. So, and then there's this whole little section on other course materials. And basically, I guess this section, whether what applies to you or doesn't apply to you, is probably based on where you live and also just kind of where you study or what your kind of day-to-day travel is. So what do I mean by that? Well, in almost all campus buildings now, we have really great internet. So if you're somebody who lives on campus and pretty much exists on campus, you're good. Don't worry about it. If you're somebody who lives way out in the country, as some of my friends do, you may have some serious problems with internet connectivity. If you are one of, somebody who has limited internet connectivity, you might want to consider getting a flash stick, like a 64 gigabyte flash stick, or potentially even a removable hard drive. So also, I guess, depending on how you decide to construct your work, which this is something you can talk to the TAs about, if you want to make a project where, in order to do it, you have to download every episode of The Expanse and pull tiny little sections of video out of it, this is kind of a little bit much, but it could happen. You should probably get a hard drive. But if you're just kind of putting some clips together from stuff that you found on the internet, which 90% of people do, then you will be fine with the networked storage like Box or Google Drive or whatever. I guess the only other sort of warning about storage is that, and this is I'm gonna be like that 90-year-old person that's here, I'll tell you what I said. Once in 2008, Google went down for a whole day. It did, I swear. Yes. I was just people were wandering around in the streets, where's my calendar? I don't know where I'm supposed to be. It was crazy. So no, I'm just saying, so networks and websites do actually fail. So having a flash stick, somewhere on your person is not, it's not a terrible idea, especially in this sort of world of frequent disaster or frequent weather issues, all that stuff. So yeah, moving on to do homework assignments. We do homework assignments. That's pretty much the main vehicle for your grade. I'll get into how your grade is calculated in a second, but the majority of your grade is from homework. And those are assignments. There's about 9 of them, I think. They're primarily creative in nature, and they're all published to Canvas right now. So everything is published pretty much ahead of time on Canvas. When you do your homework assignments, for every single homework assignment, you're submitting one of 2 things. You're either submitting a file, like a Photoshop document or something that you made, or you're submitting a link via the text entry. So everything, all the submissions are on Canvas too. Let me pull down here just a tiny bit. So we do have exams in this class, and the exams are 100% on what happens in this room. in lecture. So the reason that I do that is mostly because I don't feel like I can hold you accountable for what happened in the Friday section if you're in the Thursday section, right? So basically all the exams are, lecture only. There's a midterm and a final. They're Canvas quizzes. They're not proctored exams. And I basically give you 24 hours to take it. So it opens up at midnight one night, and then it closes at midnight the next night. And I also do a review for the exams. Yeah. So especially during the last couple of years, we've had more people with sort of illness or other extenuating circumstances. I mean, if you have something like that and or if you're like, maybe you're going to be traveling and you can't take the exam, just email me and I'll push it, to a different day. That doesn't offend me and really anyway. We're all busy people. So late work, we do have a late work policy. So obviously, the sort of old person in me is get everything done on time. But that's not always possible. So if it's not possible, you can make arrangements with your TAs. Sorry, just want to specify that. With your TA for extended due dates. And if an arrangement to turn in late work is approved, it almost always is, you will be deducted 1 letter grade for each lab class meeting, which is each week. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit more of a leg up, because we all understand that there are things that have happened, especially in the last couple of years, that cause interruptions in people's lives. And so if that applies to you, we basically just sort of wanted to make it so that if you're turning late things in, you basically will only have you will get no less than half credit, basically, for turning in something late. So because we just didn't want to get into a situation where, we're deducting points and then it gets deducted to 10% or something, and then why would you even bother turning it in? So we decided that we're not going any lower than half. And it would have to be 5 weeks late. So that's basically the policy. And then for grading, this is the grading criteria. Maybe just take some time to read that when you get a chance. This is how it breaks down as far as how your grade is calculated. Like I said, the assignments are the major portion of the grade. The exams are a significant portion. By the way, most people do pretty well on the exams, so it's not like a gotcha sort of situation. And then we have also course participation is 10%. And that's basically the TAs have that as sort of what would you call that? Discretionary points, just based on how you participate in course. So if you have any questions about how participation is sort of conceived, I would ask your TA. So also, if you have good attendance and good class participation, I'm definitely one of those people that rounds up on Canvas for your final grade. So if you're on the borderline and you've done really pretty well and you've been kind of present and working and you have a 92.2 and 93 is the cutoff for an A, please, I'm totally going to give it to you. So, yeah. So, okay. Some other things that I want to just I guess give a little bit of time to. We have this diversity and inclusion statement, and I think for a lot of classes it's just something you stick in your syllabus because they ask us to. I think in our class we actually need to have a conversation about it a little bit. We obviously have people at our university who come from tons of different backgrounds. The place for me where this intersects potentially with our class is that if you come up with an image, let's say I draw an image of, I don't know, a flower, and I'm oh, it's a flower. Everybody loves flowers. I love flowers. You love flowers. That's not offensive at all. How could that be offensive? You might want to ask people. In other words, what I'm saying is just because it's not offensive to you doesn't mean it might not be offensive to other people. So I guess what I'm asking is for all of you to just kind of like exercise some kindness and some good judgment. If you have a question about whether what you're doing is potentially questionable, like, let me give you a couple of scenarios. Swastika, for example, that's kind of beyond questionable. We can't do that, okay? That's like, seriously, no. Maybe in the questionable zone, you know, it's like, I don't know, like almost anything could be considered probably questionable or offensive. And so I'm not sort of like me and the TAs are not really in the business of censoring people. We're not in the business of like giving people rules. You can't do this, you can't do that, except for swastikas. But I think it would be really good to just try to engage the TAs and or your classmates in a discussion about, you know, how people actually feel about something. And if somebody tells you that they don't feel good about it, like, don't take it personally. Like, it's not about you. It's about, you know, a history that you don't have any connection to. So, okay, that's my speech. All right. Like, feel really pretty passionately about that. Also, we have, you know, accommodations. And then there's another section that I skipped past, which is the academic integrity issue. I think it's kind of hilarious that like people are using AI to write their papers and everything now, because I might actually ask you to do that as an assignment. I mean, there is an opportunity to use an AI engine with your images to use it for extra credit. But I think it's an interesting conversation, mostly because in this class, we do use source material that we did not make. In other words, I can go up on the internet and pull down like 10 images of Lady Gaga that I didn't take and, you know, take chunks out of them and make them into Lady Gaga Monster. And no one would ever say, like, you stole that image, right? So the whole conversation about stealing images and originality has to do with how it's really perceived by the viewer, not so much about what you actually did. And I don't know, I think AI is a really exciting tool. I've been kind of playing around with, you know, generators for of course, like just by myself because that's super fun. So if you have a serious issue or you think that like a classmate is basically like going to the How to Pass 107 store and buying, you know, 107 assignments or something, I guess I would want to know about that. But if it's an issue of you like using an AI generator, making an image, and then taking it into Photoshop and doing some stuff with it, you go, is what I say. I mean, just do it. And so I would think we're probably like pretty liberal on the whole, you know, originality thing. Also because I feel like this class is a digital technology class, like digital technology is really like the locus of all of these problems. So it would be pretty absurd for us to set some standard that doesn't really apply to the media, you know? Okay, so yes, that's my speech on that. So I think at this point I could open it up for questions. I hope you have some. Anybody? Yes.
So, because we are in art class and we can't really like, how do you judge art and how do you grade it? Like the scale is fine, that's like something to represent the grades.
Yeah.
But how do you put a particular piece that we submit into scales?
That's a really good question. So most assignments have a rubric unless they're like super obvious. If you have any questions about the terminology used in the rubrics, definitely feel free to email me or ask the TAs. So we do have a rubric. I guess let me just show you a rubric for the first assignment because this is actually a really great conversation to have. Basically what we do, I mean, like my inside self is like, oh, it's all art, do whatever you want, everything's cool. But you know, obviously I have to give you a grade. So I can't be that like person 100%. So like this collage assignment, for example, it's got sort of like certain things that we're working with in class, like resolution. So I actually specify in the assignment that so there are certain forms, like we haven't gotten to resolution, so you might not know what this means, but I'll say like your assignment has to be basically like this many pixels by this many pixels. And so that's pretty clear, right? Is your assignment that many pixels by that many pixels? In other words, did you follow instructions? And so we can say yes, we can check that box. Some of the boxes that are a little bit more nebulous or have a little bit more room for interpretation are boxes like concept. And that's basically saying like, how is the concept of your piece? Is it strong? Is it weak? Does it contribute to your work? And those are things that, if you are unhappy with a sort of score, you might have a conversation with your TA or even have a conversation with me. Probably about individual assignment grades, it's better to talk to your TAs, but I'm happy to sort of give you my opinion. I just don't want to override I don't want to get ahead of what the TAs are doing. So yeah, I think, I guess my sort of philosophy too on grading assignments, and I'm pretty sure I've communicated this to the TAs, who some of y'all have worked with me for 2 years now, is that with art, if you do sort of check those boxes, like is it the right size, is it this, is it that, the TAs have a really pretty good idea of how sort of engaged you were in the process of making it. And I guess my sort of philosophy is like, if you do the work, then we're going to give you the grade that you want. So I do kind of try to reduce it to that binary as much as possible, where it's like, if you've done the assignment, and you've followed the instructions, like, you're going to get at least a decent grade. You might not get like an A+, but does that help? Yeah, so. Any other questions? Yeah, hi.
What does the format look like for midterms and exams? Is it like multiple choice or like grading?
They're multiple choice. The final has quite a few short answer questions. Yeah. And I'm sure that you've probably experienced this in other classes, like with my short answer questions, I will actually hand review them because Canvas doesn't have the greatest text equivalencies. So I'll check to make sure that you didn't put like the right answer with 3 extra spaces or something like that. But yeah. Other questions? Okay, well, there was one other quick thing I wanted to mention, and that is that as far as the Canvas course, pretty much I track with these modules that I put up for you. And this is kind of like where you can find everything as it's happening. Of course, you can find the assignments, in the assignments tab and stuff like that. There is an extra credit option for the course where you can get up to, and I'm just going to say this, I'll probably have to say it like 100 times, you can get 3 points on your final grade. 3 points on your final grade. This means like 3 percentage points, full percentage points. So you can do 3 things to basically make this happen. You can attend a digital media art exhibition and write a one-page reflection paper. You can make 5 images with the AI tools we discuss in class, or you can make a 1 to 2 inch 3D model at Shapeways. Now, obviously, you don't have the skills to do all of these things yet, but once we hit that section in class, then you could potentially do that. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got. We're wrapping up. So I'll see you again real soon. Hi.
I have a quick question about
Sure.
McBride accommodations. If I just have like time and a half on exams, is that like applied online?
Well, it's not. And so I'm like, no. So what I would say is if you need time and a half, probably, if 24 hours, if 24 hours isn't sufficient, then, yeah.
Is it like open for 24
Yeah.
Oh,
So that's why I'm saying, yeah, I usually don't have to deal, work with that, but I can't, if anything happens and you do actually want the extra time, so sorry. Sorry.